From the Bronx to out to Compton, truth be told, letters of Paul, words worth more than gold. Line by line, divine like Frank's secret stash. Potent with the gospel, make the weak stand fast. In the city grind, know the sin surrounds. Faith in the word, breaking hell's compound. From Genesis to Revelations, the message carry. Stronger than the struggles where hopes get buried.
Speak the gospel letters, rhythm from the soul. Lift the city's burdens, make the broken whole. Good news delivered like mail on the street. Faith with the beat, truth got us on repeat.
Dusty stoops where the preachers stand tall. Echoes of hope and graffiti walls. Timeless talk from Romans to Galatians. Scripture scopes life, no need for deviation. Through dark alleys, faith lights my path. Struggles like paper torn in holy wrath. Message pure though the streets be unclean. From East Coast corners to the West Coast scene. Gritty verses, parables and rhyme from the ports of Acts. Word transcends time. Faith and fire from old block to Queens. Preach about Yeshua more potent than dreams. On the block preaching truth like Paul in the letter. Streets cold, got faith as my bedspread and sweater. Dark nights, holy lamp, I'm guided, never settle. With Yeshua in my corner, life don't get any better.
Ride with the lions, Daniel's story in my veins. Pray for the lost, breaking sins, endless chains. Graffiti on the wall spells out hope in the rains. Miracles in action, breaking bad, not in vain.
Apostolically speaking, blessings in my hood. Testifiers were returning bad into good. From Jerusalem to Bronx, make the gospel understood. Spread love, his kingdom, like we knew. Apostolically speaking, blessings in my hood. Testifiers were returning bad into good. From Jerusalem to Bronx, make the gospel understood. Spread love, his kingdom, like we knew.
Pushing faith through the rough, armor of God shine. Cross hanging where my heart beat, vision aligns. Christ paved the way, stakes higher than the climb. With spiritual guidance, love and truth intertwined.
Stepping stones made of scriptures, my foundation strong. Voice of Holy Spirit got me where I belong. Within gritty streets where the fight prolongs. Faith conquers battles, every right, every wrong.
Fishers of men, my net cast wide and far. With prayers and cipher, we heal every scar. From disciples' lessons, rise above the tar. With Christ in our hearts, these trials can't mar.
Apostolically speaking, blessings in my hood. Testifiers were returning bad into good. From Jerusalem to Bronx, make the gospel understood. Spread love, his kingdom, like we knew. Apostolically speaking, blessings in my hood. Testifiers were returning bad into good. From Jerusalem to Bronx, make the gospel understood. Spread love, his kingdom, like we knew we would.
All right. Welcome to Apostolically Speaking. We are your hosts today. My name is Tyshawn, and this is my wife.
My name's Alicia.
And we are quite excited to be here on today to take some time to talk with you guys. This is the first episode of who knows however many more to come, doing this as the Lord leads. But, we just kind of want to, I know some folks probably like, what in the world is Apostolically Speaking? And what is it about? What y'all going to be doing? Blah, 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 blah. In a nutshell, Apostolically Speaking is really about us just kind of living and communicating in the same spirit, power, and purpose as the apostles. And we want to make sure that we're walking in the teachings and the ways of Jesus Christ with unwavering devotion. So it's kind of like we're taking the lens of what the apostles' doctrine is, even as the Bible talks about that they continue steadfast in the apostles' doctrine. Basically, they were going as, Jesus had taught them, and they were now spreading that word to those who needed to know about Christ. And we're going to take things, different subjects, and look at that through the lens that we should be looking at, which is following hard after Christ. Yeah. So what's the subject for today?
Today we're going to be talking about faith and family.
All right. Faith and family. What a combination, huh?
Yeah.
And, we're going to talk about this from a number of angles today. Going to look at some Bible verses for sure. But we definitely also going to kind of make it, what's the word am I looking for? We want to bring it kind of to home with kind of some of the testimonies that we've gone through ourselves, because let's be real. Sometimes walking the faith ain't easy. It ain't for the timid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what do we? I mean, man, there's so much stuff to talk about. Where you want to start at first? No.
Well, first, let's just go to one of the go-to scriptures for faith concerning
Okay.
faith, which is Hebrews 11:1.
All
And
right.
now faith is the substance of things hoped for,
Mm-hmm.
the evidence of things not seen. So I'm
Okay.
going to read another version for you.
Oh, you got another version? Okay,
I
let's
do.
go.
Yeah, prepared, huh?
Okay.
What? So faith shows the reality of what we hope for. It is the evidence of things we cannot see.
Hey, can I pause you there? Can you read that again?
I
I
can't.
like that.
Yeah. Faith shows the reality of what we hope for. It is the evidence of things we cannot see.
That's awesome. You know, I was actually teaching a class last night, and it just kind of made me think. When you said that, it made me think as far as for like, because God sometimes gives me illustrations about dealing with faith, and I saw faith like almost like a person that's pregnant. So I've never been there, never will. I'm a man. But you know what that's like to feel, to experience that, like, well, I mean, there's evidence that something's going on in your body, even though you don't see what's happened as of yet. And the student that's in my class, she's like, we were talking about like some of the first steps, of dealing with faith is like, the first thing that happens is you miss your cycle, and then you start having things like morning sickness, things of that nature. Yeah.
I've
Listen.
done that many of times.
Listen. She got jokes today. So, but we had many a times where like while she was pregnant, she had all sorts of stuff that was just going on as far as for like dealing with body just hurting, and all things were going. It was kind of changing, just by her being pregnant. And the awesome thing about dealing with faith, from that aspect of being pregnant, is that even though you didn't see it right away, there were symptoms there that gave you evidence that one day there was going to be a baby born. And I think we can look kind of faith at like that through that lens. It's like, yeah, you may not have what you're looking for right now from God, but there is evidence. Matter of fact, I look at it when I receive a word from God, I look at it as almost like being impregnated by it, by the Holy Spirit. And what we got to do is nurture that thing. We got to nurture it. We got to speak life to it. And what the enemy would love to have is for doubt to creep in, to be like that morning after pill to kill out and abort the process of faith. And it's so important, that when we're dealing with the process of faith, that, we don't allow negative thinking, negative words to come up and to pollute, what God has given to us, Makes
That's
sense?
right. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So we got our definition of what faith is. Man, you know what? Do me a favor, y'all. If y'all are watching right now, please type into the comments what does faith mean to you? We know we got the Hebrews 11:1 version, but sometimes you got to break it down to like, what does this mean to me? What am I believing God for, and all those things like that. So that way it's relatable to you. All right, get out of all those thous and all that stuff like that you get in King James, and just make it plain English.
Yeah, and I just want to read Noah Webster's definition of what faith is. One of them means to draw towards something. The second one means to believe, to obey. Okay, so when we talk about to believe, it's the act of the mind admitting to and agreeing to the truth of what was declared by another, in our case, what God has declared, and resting in his authority or his veracity, his accuracy, his continual truths, and without other evidence. So then once we have that, when our mind is geared toward that, when we're able to admit and to agree with what he has spoken, then we have the action to follow, and here comes obedience. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I just want to go over the verse 2 of Hebrews 11. And it says, for by it, we're talking about faith, the elders obtain a good testimony or reputation. And so that means that their actions and their obedience lets you know that they had faith in God and that they fully, wholeheartedly trusted in him. So I have a question. What is your reputation? What is the testimony? What is your testimony that speaks of your faith? I can admit, my God, and sometimes like we can have faith in certain areas and not in all areas.
Okay.
But if we're going to have faith in God and what he has speaking over us, his statutes and everything concerning him, it has to be in all areas. Like about 2 weeks ago, as we were trying to prepare, getting ready for this podcast, listen, I don't think my faith was in action at that moment, because we sat up here and had a whole argument
y'all, a whole
about this, because
argument.
I'm like, oh no, bro, you could just go ahead and do it by yourself. The Lord told you, so I believe you just need to go ahead and go on come on and do it by yourself. And he's like, no, God had told us to do it and told me for us to do it together, because we need to do something together. And I'm like,
yeah, we on that one flesh.
So I was like, I don't know, because I'm not the talker. I'm not the one. I could sit here and just chill and be quiet all day. But where the Lord is taking me to in this season, like, girl, you better come on and align yourself with my word that I have spoken over you.
Yeah, stop trying to be in the background. No, we're not doing that. No. That's not what faith is. Faith is an action word.
Yes,
it's an action
yes, Lord.
word.
It is action. Mighty God. Yes, it is. So, yeah. What is your reputation? What is your testimony?
That's good. That's really good. Looking at that, because as we look at, like, even dealing with the children of Israel, and their testimony of dealing with faith. Let's look at all the things that God did for them. I don't know if you were going to touch on that.
I was.
Okay. Well, do I need to circle back? Do I need to hold on?
No, I'm as far as talking as faith and family, because we're talking about faith and family, and this is key for me, because family is everything, and God is everything to me, and just putting that all together. So I go back to Deuteronomy, and how at the beginning of Deuteronomy, like, this is a whole new generation of the Israelites, because the old people, then they didn't died off by this time,
right?
And so now we have a whole new generation. Do they know about the faith? Do they know? And so Moses is reminding them, he's teaching them, he's like, look, this is what the Lord has brought us over. This is what he has done. He's trying to get them to understand the wonderful character of God, and to have them rehearse it over and over. This is the command of God. This is his instruction. This is how our lives are supposed to align up. And when we function in obedience, this is the result.
That's good.
And so, yeah. Go ahead, baby.
Yeah, if you don't mind me just circling back real quick, because there was something you said there that I really want to just circle back and point out. You said that they were dealing with the next generation, right?
Yeah.
Well, why was that? Let's look at it. Let's look at the track record of Israel. So God sends a deliverer through Moses to them to deliver them from the strong hand of the Egyptians and Pharaoh. Excuse me, y'all. And so there were 10 plagues that transpired to basically break the will of Pharaoh and allow him to release the children of Israel, that they may go to worship God, right? So they see this happen. Now, not only did that happen, they plundered Egypt. So they weren't in the desert broke. These jokers were rich. Like, they plundered Egypt. They took all the best things of Egypt, and they were out. Like, peace, y'all, I'm gone. Got what I needed, and I'm outie. And so God did this for them, right? Then obviously we know what happens next. Pharaoh chases them into the all the way to the Red Sea, and they're complaining to Moses like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna die," all that stuff like that. And man, God parts the Red Sea.
Yeah.
He parts the Red Sea, allows them to cross the Red Sea, and then vanquishes Egypt, the Pharaoh, and his armies. And not only did he do that, then can y'all imagine? Just quail flying in and like, yo, here I am. Go ahead. I'm a whole meal for you. Let's go. Manna just popping up for you so you can eat. While you're in the middle of the wilderness, God is just taking care of you. And then we still have the audacity. And I'm not just picking on Israel, because we do the same thing today. How many things has God done for us, and we still at times have trouble trusting his character? I think that's one of the big things. It's one of the things that I was teaching on class last night, is that, when we have faith in God, it is the assurance and the confidence of knowing the character of the God that we serve, and understanding, that his character he's an unchanging God. You know, we talk about that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And if that is the case, you know, Numbers 23:19 says that he's not a man that he should lie. If he said it, won't he do it?
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
You got something there?
No.
Oh,
I
okay.
disagree.
But yeah, you know, when we talk about faith and family, it's very important that we do make sure that these principles are taught to our children. You know, like the testimonies we have, like, you know, like when God does something for y'all, like you can't just let it die with you. You know, you got to make sure that, you know, you share this, because what was it like? Wasn't God telling them, instructing them to explain and tell these stories of faith when you sit around the table?
Sit around the table.
You know,
on your doorposts, put it everywhere.
yeah. See,
Yeah.
But do we do that though? You know what I mean? Like we have so many other distractions that try to come in and take away and usurp our faith, while we'll have all these scientific things that you know, and I have nothing against science, but when they try to use science for mischievous reasons and lies to try to take away from the God that we serve, that's able to do any and everything, I have a problem with that. You know, and we don't share our testimonies. The Bible talks about they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and what the word of their testimony. And so it's when we testify of the things that God did for us and continues to do for us, that encourages others that, hey, you know, I can make it. And then when our children get to see that, they're like, man, you know, if God did that for dad and mom, you know, how much more will he do it for us? Yeah, that's just something we have to do. We can't get away from it.
Yes.
Can't get away from that. So man, so we've seen a lot of faith over the years as far as for dealing with the family. I remember one of the first instances, I'm gonna be real brief with this, but remember when I was getting out the military?
Yeah.
Remember how terrifying that was? Yeah. And man, we were on our way out the military, and you know, this is just a testimony of just how the goodness of God is. You know, when he tells you to do something, you can do it. And so we're getting out the military. That's all I've known all my life is the military. I was supposed to actually deploy back to Iraq. I was stop lost and started having dreams about death overseas a lot. And man, God made a way, like out of nowhere. They suddenly made a decision that, hey, you know, you were stop lost once, we're not going to do it to you twice. So if you want to get out, you can get out. We got out the military, didn't know we were going to move, didn't have money saved up, wound up getting money from the military that I don't to this day still know why we got it. But I remember when the lady told me how much I was going to get, I started to say something. The Lord said, shut up. Listen, God may be telling you all nice and cute, but with me, sometimes he got to be like, hey man, shut up. You about to mess this up. And so he was like, be quiet and allow me to bless you. And it wound up being an amazing transition. You know, what about you? What are some of the things you can recall?
Then our move here to Dallas.
Oof.
Cause number one, we was just I don't know what the deal was, but we weren't moving. We weren't being obedient the first time.
What do you think that was? Well, you know what? Let me kind of paint the picture for y'all just a little bit, right? So 2017, we were all the way up here to Dallas. My wife was dropping me off to do training for Geico, and as I was on my way in town, the Lord said, "Here, I want you here." And I'm like, "What?" Like here. And so we wound up going to a church service. The word was confirmed again that, hey, the Lord has called y'all to move to Dallas. Now this is 2017. When did we wind up finally moving?
2022.
What? 2022.
2022.
That's a big gap, y'all. That's like a 5-year gap. You know what's interesting? It was like an 11-day journey. If my math is right, and y'all don't crucify me if I got it wrong, but it was like an 11-day journey for the Israelites to get to the promised land. How many years did it take them? Like 40 long years. So what my question would be, and this is something for y'all to think about, like what is getting in the way of you getting to the promised land that God told you that was rightfully yours? Like, what is the holdup? What's stopping you? I know for us was fear, you know?
I don't say fear, but then bottom line to me, I think it's the trust factor.
Okay.
Do I really trust the word of the Lord that is coming forth, that he's telling me whatever I do? Do I really trust you, Jesus?
Ooh, can piggyback on
Go
that?
on.
You know what? Our leader, Apostle Sherman Dumas, he was teaching Seeking Night the other night, and he made a comment that just stuck with me, and it's so true about dealing with faith. Sometimes, we believe God at His word to a degree, to an extent that we will believe that God will do it for others,
Yeah.
but not for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh yeah, God's supposed to bless them to be a multi-millionaire. God's supposed to do this, da 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 da. But when it comes to us, we start making excuses, and what we really do is start a process a lot of times of disqualifications of why God can't do it for us. And literally, that is, man, that again goes back to the seeds of doubt being like that morning after pill, because we're sitting there and. God has told us, hey, move to Dallas and I'm going to do this, this, and this. You're like, oh, no, I think we had from my aspect as the head of the house, I had every excuse for why it was not time to move.
I was like, let's go. Let's bounce.
Listen. And then what wound up happening is God, sometimes God, thank God for grace and mercy, because like all sorts of, I think if we would have moved when we should have, like some of the trauma that happened afterwards probably would not have happened, or it would have been lessened. You know what I mean? Because when let's be real. When you don't obey God, when you don't walk in faith, the opposite of faith is sin. You're walking in doubt, you're walking in unbelief, and you're not walking trusting God. If you're not walking according to what He tells you, it's sin. And so. Yeah, God helped us out, didn't He?
He did.
Yeah, what'd He do?
He said, you got 30 days.
Man, we got kicked out the city, y'all. Like, literally. Like, every door shut. I was teaching a class, and I'm going to be short with this, and I get a phone call while I'm teaching class and say, hey, just want to let you know, FYI, the landlord has this, not the landlord, but the owner decided to sell the house, and you got 30 days to be out. And this was like, I'm in Dallas teaching. This is June of 2022, and it's like almost the end of the month, and I hear the Lord say, get from amongst your people to where I'll show you. I'm like, no, you ain't. You funny, you got jokes, you got the wrong one. Call you, tell you what's going on, you like, oh no, it's about time, let's get at it, let's go. And it was a process of faith for us to get here. It really was. I mean, like, what were your thoughts? Like, not the fact of I got to because she ready to go in, right, y'all? She already ready to go in. She didn't like San Antonio. Truth to be told, I didn't either. But she listen, she ready to go in. So let me preface this question before you start going ham. So, what was your feelings as we got into the city and trying to figure out where do we fit? Like, I know about the process, you were just ready to go. Man, listen, when I told her that we were had 30 days, I had like a week left, man. She had all these boxes and stuff halfway packed up before I even got back home. I'm like, yo, you ain't okay. All right, cool. You ready for this, Dallas?
Lord.
But what was your thoughts on as we were trying to figure that whole process out?
I was like, okay, Lord, well, it's on you, because we're out here. But even in the midst of like the trying times that we had, because we had to stay in a hotel for a few months, and just
5. Ain't no few, 5.
6 of us.
It was 5.
My Lord,
6
today.
Folks. A dog in like what? Maybe 700 square feet. Ooh.
Yeah, and even in the midst of that, there was like trying times, and I'm just like, Lord, and just to bring it back to faith and family, like there were moments like we're like, okay, Lord, we're believing you for this, and so we would just sit our family down, and we would talk to our kids, and we were like, okay, this is the situation that we're in, and this is what we're believing God for, and we want y'all to believe God with us, and so just to give them that, so they can have that understanding that. Okay, wow. So when they're later on in life, I remember when we had those times and the Lord came through for us, and just having that testimony of just believing God with our whole family and just coming together in agreement with what the Lord has spoken. So yeah,
that was I vividly remember those times, definitely having that conversation, even while we were house shopping. don't even want to think about that right now. But that house shopping, man, you listen, that was and you know, here's the crazy thing. We were doing the house shopping at the worst time. Like it was the market had turned again. Interest rates were kind of getting ready to start shooting up. House prices were just extravagantly high. It was a lot of stuff going on when we moved. You know, even when we moved in 2008, right in the middle of the housing crisis. Like God had us. When it comes to faith, God doesn't wait for perfect circumstances. Like He uses, like I feel like sometimes, like if it ain't chaos, we used to have a saying in the military: if it ain't raining, we ain't training. Meaning that we will get in the middle of what other people don't want to get to train, so that way when we have to fight, you know, we're set for any condition. I think sometimes God uses situations like that as a training ground for us, so that way our faith would be strengthened in the midst of. Peter got out of the boat. You know, Jesus could have calmed the sea before Peter stepped out the boat, but He didn't. He didn't do that. He allowed him to get out, step out the boat, walk on the water in the midst of all the wind and all the waves and stuff like that, because what He wanted was us to focus on Him in spite of everything else that's circling around to try to get our attention. And you know, once Peter got in the boat, then everything calmed. I mean, no, Peter caught to Jesus rather. He sank. We all know what happened. Jesus helped him, and they got in the boat. Then everything calmed down. Man, it's just so amazing how God works, you know, as far as you know the process. So just wrapping up, like your yes to God in faith has so much writing on it, you know, like y'all see the little pieces of the house that we're in now, but this house is an amazing house. Fell in love when we met it, but like this house did not start getting constructed until the day we said yes, literally as we were on the road to Dallas. And that's a whole nother story and a testimony for another time, but this house literally started being constructed when we got on the road to Dallas. What's hanging on your yes, y'all? You know, what is God trying to pull out of you? What is God where is He trying to take you to? But you are delaying the process because you won't step out on God and trust Him and just, you know, make that first. All He's looking for is for that first step. That's it. Just the first step. Take the first step and watch God do what He said He's going to do. You know, there's a scripture in the Bible, and I'm rambling, so I'm getting ready to be quiet. But it says that your word is a light to my feet and a lamp unto my feet and a light to my path. And you know what I feel like, and it was funny because I was talking, and in the class, me and one of the students, we hit the same point at the same time. It's like that Michael Jackson. You remember the Billie Jean, where it would light up, and the path would not light up until Mike took that step. And that's literally what faith is like. It's like that path is not going to light up until you take the step, and that's all you get to see. And you're just going to have to trust the direction of God, that as He lights the steps in your path that He wants you to see, that He knows exactly where to take you to. Don't stray off the path, because it's a jungle out here. You know, there's lions and tigers and bears, oh my, all out there waiting to try to take us out. And we have to sit back and remember that we have to depend on the one whose ways is higher than our ways. Yeah. I think that's about it. I don't have anything else unless there was something else you wanted to share.
No, that was cool.
That was that
First
cool.
episode, that was cool.
Yeah, what's that right there you got? Yeah, I'm stupid. What that say?
I just want to say, well, just get out of your own head. Get out of your own head and allow your mind to agree, right? And to admit that the word of the Lord is truth. It's time to get out of ourselves and our way. If the Lord is telling you to do something, just trust in that.
Yes.
He gives clear instruction. He does. He gives clear instruction. So we can't fail if we're just taking heed. I like the way the Amplified version talks about, when it talks about His commands or His statutes or things of that nature. It talks about like when they're loving His commands, it's like you gotta hear His commands, receive, love, and obey. So when we are doing that, our faith our actions will show our faith, and we'll have a good testimony, a good reputation every time, because we're aligning ourselves with the word. So yeah.
Amen. All right, that's what's up. Well, listen, y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in on today. Like I said, this is a start of things to come. So, yeah, we're gonna get. I'm not gonna say when the next episode is gonna be quite yet. We're gonna sit down, talk about what, because we're not gonna just get on here just to get on here. We're gonna get on here as the Lord dictates to us, as far as for speaking on the things and the issues that He wants us to talk on. So, but we are going to be dealing with faith for a little bit. I think this is going to be a faith series. The next one's probably going to be dealing with something like faith over fear, or something along those lines. We'll talk. Me and my wife are going to talk and pray about it, and we'll be back here soon. It will be at a minimum monthly. But if it winds up being more frequent than that, then we'll let y'all know. So keep your eyes out, and as they say, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff like that. Drop your comments, drop your hearts, drop your likes, drop all that stuff. Yeah, and we will catch up with y'all on the next time. Y'all be blessed. We love y'all. Take care.